Hello, and welcome to the Boston University Financial Planning webinar. My name is Sarah Davies, and I will serve as your moderator for today's session. Thank you all for joining us today. Please ask questions by typing in the questions box located on the right-hand side of your screen. We will try to address all questions towards the end of the presentation. Additionally, a link to the recorded version of the webinar will be sent for your reference to share with colleagues. It is now with great pleasure I introduce Carolyn Tillman, Program Director for Boston University's Financial Planning Programs. Carolyn has augmented the development of these programs for the past 13 years, as well as taught estate planning courses, online reviews, and CFP certification courses at universities in Massachusetts, in Florida, and banks and financial service companies. She is also co-author of the Principles of Estate Planning textbook and has served as a member of CFP Board's Council on Education and appointed chair in 2012. Carolyn has a wealth of knowledge and experience in the field, which she brilliantly shares with her students. Carolyn, welcome, and thank you for joining us today.
Well, thank you very much, Sarah. And hi, everyone, and thank you so much for being with us today. Now, we have a lot of information that Carrie and I would like to share with you. So I'd like to start off by telling you a little bit about what financial planning is all about. Also, how you can become a certified financial planner professional. And we'll talk about some career opportunities that are available to you in this field. And of course, we're going to talk about the BU Financial Planning Program. So we certainly want to make sure that you get all your questions answered today. And if you have them, put them in the chat box, and at the end of our presentation, we'd be very happy to take them. So we thought we'd talk about what financial planning is all about, because some people believe financial planning only involves investment planning or portfolio management. And while that really is a very important part of financial planning, there are many other aspects that are involved too. So financial planning is actually a process to help clients meet their financial goals. And this is really the most rewarding aspect of our career. So it's not surprising to learn that 92% of certified financial planners said that they're either satisfied or highly satisfied with their career choice to become CFP professionals. And also, as you can see here by these statistics, there are many advantages to becoming a CFP professional. First one is you may receive 26% more in compensation. There are 70% of consumers that utilize financial planners. Salaries are up to 59% above the national average for salaries in Boston, San Francisco, Dallas, and Phoenix. And finally, 70% of CFP professionals surveyed believe that CFP certification has had a positive impact on client trust and technical expertise. So let's go over what financial planning entails, because what we've listed up here are the financial planning subject areas, and there are 7 of them you should be aware of. First of all, we have general principles of financial planning, which is really an introduction to financial planning, and it includes education planning. Then we have insurance and risk management, income tax planning, investment planning, retirement planning and employee benefits, estate planning, and then to finish it all off, we have a capstone course in financial planning, which takes the 6 main subject areas and combines them all together so that you learn how to integrate this knowledge and how to apply it to client situations. Now, these 7 subjects correspond to the 7 financial planning courses that BU offers in our program. So each course will cover all of the CFP Board topics that planners are expected to know and which are tested on the CFP Board certification exam. Now, for this slide, I wanted to give you a little bit of information about knowing the difference between what financial advisors are versus certified financial planners. And that's because anybody can call themselves a financial planner or a financial advisor without obtaining any special education or credentials. But certified financial planners are different. They have to go through a very rigorous 4-step process in order to get certified. And they also have a fiduciary duty to put their clients' interests first before their own. However, this high standard does not apply to all financial advisors. And that's really why the CFP mark is recognized throughout the world as the gold standard of excellence in the financial planning field. CFP certification is the one that clients trust and that the public turns to when they're looking for financial advice. Okay, now I also want you to be aware of the fact that financial planning is a growing field. The CFP board oversees financial planning profession and the certification process. And through its media campaign, it educates the public about the benefits of working with CFPs over other financial advisors. You may have even seen some of their commercials on TV or even heard their spots on the radio. But the result is that more consumers are choosing to work with CFP practitioners now over other financial advisors. And even though there's 78,000 or more CFP professionals in the United States today, there really aren't nearly enough to satisfy public demand. So I wanted you to be aware of the fact that this is really a great time to enroll in the BU program and to start working towards your CFP certification today. Now, for those of you who already work in financial services, you may be interested to know that 76% of CFPs said that CFP certification contributed directly to their professional success. CFP certification can also provide you with a competitive advantage over other financial advisors and may also increase your earning potential. And so these are really some great incentives to get you started on your CFP education today. And for those of you who aren't already working in financial services, I've got some good news for you too. Because once you get your CFP certification, there's so many different types of financial service firms that you could potentially work for. And so what I did is I put together a list of some of the firms that will typically hire CFP professionals. Obviously, brokerage firms and mutual fund companies, insurance companies, banks, especially trust departments, accounting firms, even human resources for employee benefits, and even nonprofit organizations. So that shows you a real wide variety of the different types of firms that you could potentially work for. And then, of course, we have financial planning firms too. These firms usually range from either large institutional firms all the way down to the smaller boutique financial planning or wealth management firms. So you have many advantages of being able to work for all different types of companies with different types of compensation models and business models too. Or you may decide instead that you want to start your own financial planning practice or buy an existing practice in your area. Right now, there are many older CFP practitioners who are looking to train younger planners to take over their practices in the future. In fact, listen to this, there are more financial advisors over the age of 70 than there are under the age of 30. So obviously, we have a problem in this profession. We are becoming an aged-out profession, and we need younger planners to come in and start taking over these positions. So as you can see, there's many good reasons to get your CFP certification now and to start working in the field. And for those of you who are in the Boston area, I want you to be aware of the fact that employers also want our BU students. There's so many different career opportunities that are available to financial planners in Boston. Employers will often contact Boston University when they have financial planning positions to fill. And I want you to know that we post all that information on our program's website. So as soon as an employer contacts us, that job opportunity is listed. You don't have to be enrolled in our program in order to find it. But also, I want you to know that BU holds a career night event every year with the Boston chapter of the FPA, which is the Financial Planning Association. And it's a great way to meet with prospective employers and to network with other planners in the Boston area. So as you can see, our career night is scheduled for tomorrow evening. So if you're in the Boston area, please join us tomorrow night for this free event at Boston University. We'd love to be able to meet you and talk to you more about our program. Okay, now let's talk about how to become a certified financial planner. As I had mentioned, that there are 4 steps involved in the process, and we call them the 4 E's. So they're education, examination, experience, and ethics. And I'm going to go over each one with you real quickly. Next slide. Okay, for education, there's 2 requirements you should be aware of. First of all, you need to complete a program that is registered with CFP Board. Boston University programs are registered with the board and have been for over 35 years. Another thing you need to be aware of, too, is that in order to become certified, not to take an education course, but to become certified, you have to have a bachelor's degree. So the CFP Board is going to allow you 5 years to get your degree after you pass the board's exam. They'll accept any major, so it doesn't have to be specifically in financial planning or any finance-related subjects. So we just want you to know of the board's requirement up front, so that if you don't have a bachelor's degree, maybe you'd like to get started on that now. Another situation to be aware of, too, is there is something called a challenge status. If you hold any of the professional designations that we've listed here, such as CPA, CFA, JD, CLU, CHFC, or a PhD in business or economics, then you're entitled to waive the board's education requirement. That means that you would only need to take the required Capstone course or just submit a financial plan to sit for the board's certification exam. All right, now let's talk about that exam. The CFP certification exam is a very rigorous exam, so we want you to be aware of that right up front. First of all, it's a 6-hour computer-based exam. It's held in exam cycles 3 times a year, so you can always depend on having an exam either in March, July, and in November. So this way you'll get a chance to choose which exam in the future you might be interested in taking. What you do is you take them at a Prometrics testing center. And what you can do is go online to find out where the centers are, and you can take it at a center near where you live. So there are many different testing sites throughout the country, and you should be able to find one that's convenient for you. On the exam, you're going to get multiple choice questions. There's going to be 170 of them, and that's going to include some cases that the CFP board likes to test your knowledge of. And that way, when they put cases together, either large comprehensive cases or little mini cases, what they're doing is testing your ability to apply the information that you've learned in your programs to real client situations. And the last thing I want you to be aware of is that the national pass rates are generally in the 60s, 60% or higher. So we've been seeing things in the 62 to 64% range for the past year. So that's great news. It just means people are really preparing themselves to take this exam. Now, the next E is work experience. So you need to have 2 to 3 years of full-time work experience. You would only need 2 years of work experience if you do comprehensive financial planning. And what that means is you're really touching on all of the subject areas that we had talked about before, like investments, tax planning, retirement planning, etc. However, let's just say that you're a tax preparation professional. Well, if that's the case and you're only working in taxes, then you would have to have 3 years of full-time work experience. What the board likes to see is direct interaction, working with clients in at least that one subject area. And if you don't have any work experience at the present time, the board is going to give you 5 years to fulfill this requirement after you have successfully passed the exam. What will also happen if you have prior work experience, the board will go back 10 years in order to take a look to see what work experience you have that might meet their requirements. But the most important thing that I can tell all of you is that if you want to find out where you stand in terms of their work experience, you should go to the board's website, which is www.cfp.net, or you can always contact the board to get your questions answered. And the last E in our segment is ethics. CFP certificates have to abide by the board's standards of professional conduct. And that means that we are all have to have the code of ethics applies to all of our activities. And also there are practice standards, which are the steps that are involved in the financial planning process. And that's something that all CFP practitioners have to follow when they're working with clients. And I just want you to also be aware, too, just to make sure that you will initially qualify to become a CFP, you should review the candidate fitness standards, which is found in the CFP Board's Guide to CFP Certification. You can find that on the board's website. What this does is it very quickly explains the conduct that would potentially disqualify someone from becoming a CFP. So obviously, if this is important to you, you should take a look to see what some of these listings are under the candidate fitness standards before you enroll in a program. Okay, so that really finishes talking about the 4 E's. What I'd like to do now is quickly go over some information about our BU program for financial planning. First of all, it's 100% online. That means that you have access to all the course content 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It doesn't matter which course you're taking, you'll have that course available to you at all times. Now, we're also one of the most renowned and prestigious programs in the country. Our program has been educating students for over 35 years, and it is currently ranked as one of the top 5 financial planning programs in the country, according to Investopedia. It is a 7-course certificate program, which includes the final Capstone Course. And a BU certificate in financial planning will be awarded to you if you complete the program and meet all of BU's education requirements. Now, we want you to know we've been working very hard on this program, always making improvements to it. So we have some new items that we'd like to share with you. First of all, we have new streamlined curriculum. We've revised our program's curriculum to shorten your study time and to help you complete this program sooner. We've also added some new webinars, which are live and recorded so that you can get on them live to get all of your questions answered by your instructors, or if that time is not convenient for you, they'll be recorded and you can listen to them at your convenience. Another thing that we've been adding, which has been fun actually, is that we have some new CFP practitioner videos. And these are developed by either our instructors or financial planners in the Boston area that will help explain how practitioners can help their clients by applying the concepts that you're learning in your courses. So as you're going through the courses, you'll have a little short 2 to 4 minute video where you'll get a practitioner from the Boston area who can give you some tips to help you in your practice and in your studies. Also, we've instituted some new faculty-facilitated discussion boards. These will allow you to connect with other students and also with your financial planning facilitator. Another feature to our program is that we have rolling admissions. These allow students to start anytime that's convenient for you. And of course, we have instructor support all throughout the program. It's available to you through emails and discussion boards at all times. You do not have to pay anything extra for to be able to get the help and guidance from your financial planning facilitator. And one last point I'd like to make here is I want to tell you about our BU instructors. I can tell you this is the reason why our program is ranked so highly. And that's because most of our instructors, 18 of 22 of them, are CFP practitioners. But not only that, many of them hold additional designations. So besides their CFP certification, they may also be CPAs, CFAs, attorneys. But no matter what all of their designations are, I can tell you all of them are specialists in their fields, and they have extensive experience in the classroom, online, and also review instruction. That means they know exactly what it is you need to know, and they know how to deliver that content to you in all different kinds of formats here. So you'll get the benefit of the best instructors available. And also just wanted to mention to you again, we have a financial planning facilitator. Her name is Fong Long, and she is your financial planning facilitator who will be able to answer all of your questions and help guide you through your courses. Now, again, there's no charge to contact Fong, and you can contact her as often as you need to get your questions answered and to get any assistance that you need with your studies.
Wonderful. Thank you, Carolyn. I would now like to turn the presentation over to Carrie, our Financial Planning Enrollment Advisor, to discuss tuition. Thank you, Carrie.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Carolyn. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. I wanted to go over the different enrollment options students have with the BU Financial Planning Program. For the full program, we currently have 3 options available. We have the standard online program, which includes all 7 courses, including the Capstone. Tuition for the standard online program is $4,395. The second option is the online program with books. Books are a required part of the program, and we allow the students to purchase the books through us or on their own. So option number 2 would be purchasing the books through us. Normally, the books cost $1,500. When you bundle the books with the full program, the tuition is $4,995. So there is a savings of $900 to the students in that option. Your last option is the full program with books and review. The review is after the BU Financial Planning Program is over, but before you take the CFP board exam. It will help prepare you even further for the exam. The cost for the full program with books and review is $5,895, which gives you a savings of $1,200. When you enroll in any of these 3 options, students have the ability to pay the tuition in full or take advantage of a 6-month interest-free payment plan. In order to find out what your monthly payments are with the 6-month payment plan, please just take the package price and simply divide by 6. You would make your first payment on the day you enroll, and then the remaining 5 payments would happen automatically every 30 days. Students can also choose to enroll in a single course at a time. We have many students who perhaps their employer is paying for the course, and so they choose to enroll in a single course at a time. When you enroll in a single course, you get 4 months of access to that single course, and the tuition would be $695. That would be applicable for the first 6 courses, and the last course, the Capstone Course, is $995. All of the options that you see here are the single courses without books. You do also have the option to purchase books with a single course, and for that pricing, simply add $100 to each one of these prices you see. If you have any questions after this webinar, please feel free to call our enrollment advisor team. We are more than happy to speak with you over the phone, via email, and live chat on our website. We've listed our contact email, our contact phone number, and if you go to the website, there's a lot of great information, as well as there's the ability to live chat with us. Please feel free to reach out, because we are more than happy to answer your questions before you enroll in the program. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Carrie, and thank you, Carolyn, for this very informative session. We will now take the time to address any questions from our attendees. We do have one question that is coming in here, and that question is, with the constant changes in retirement benefits and taxes, when would it be best to take courses or retake courses before sitting for the board? Carolyn, I will pass that one over to you, please.
And that's such a great question that you're asking. Here's what happens with the board's exam. What they're going to, as we had talked about, the exam is going to be offered 3 times a year. Now, the March exam every year is going to have the previous year's tax information that you're going to be tested on. So, in other words, if you're going to take the March 2018 exam, what you have learned in 2017 for tax figures and benefits and things of that nature are going to still be tested on that March exam. But if you're taking the July 2018 exam, you will be expected to know what some of the, if there are new tax figures that are being presented, like inflation rate adjustment figures and things of that nature, then you'll be expected to apply that information for the July 2018 exam. Okay, now the problem that we're having this year, of course, is we may end up having an overhaul of our tax system. And so that's something that everyone's watching very closely. But the board will not be testing on any new tax information that's going to be signed into law until 6 months later. So if you're trying to figure out, when should I take retirement planning or tax planning or estate planning, because I know those tax figures are going to change. What I would say to you is this: the BU program always stays current on their information. So at the beginning of every year, we do a tax overhaul of all of the pages within the curriculum to see where any of those tax figures need to be changed. And they're changed frequently throughout the program too. But right at the beginning of the year, we'll put in all the 2018 tax information for you that we know of. And then when some of the tax policies get signed into law, as soon as they are into law and implemented, then we start making changes to the program right away. So I would say to you, when you go through the BU program, you are going to get most of the up-to-date information that you need. However, by the time you get to your Capstone course, that's when you'll have to integrate all this material together, and you'll be using all of the information and tax figures that you're going to need to know in order to take that next exam. So what I'm trying to say to you is we'll take care of that part of it for you. I don't think you need to really figure out your scheduling around tax figures.
Great, thank you, Carolyn. And a follow-up question from that same person here is, how do you help educate students on applying financial planning programs? What kind of models do you use? And I'll pass that to you again, Carolyn, please.
I'm not too sure I really understand that question. The different models that we use for applying the financial planning program, I'm not too sure. But if you're talking about for a practitioner, what do we do in order to help students learn how to apply this information? That's something that we put great emphasis on in the curriculum, because all of the curriculum has been written by instructors who are CFP professionals. And so not only have they given us the benefit of their wisdom and experience, but throughout all of the courses, we have what's known as practitioner advice boxes. And so you'll go just a couple of pages and you'll hit a practitioner advice box. And what that practitioner advice box is it takes the information that you've just learned academically, and now we're putting it into a box to tell you how you're actually going to apply that information when you're working with your clients. So that throughout our entire program, it's all about how does this material really apply to you when you're in practice and in a financial planning situation. And that's where we have practitioner advice videos in there. We have practitioner advice boxes of information. And then we also have webinars, too, that are designed to give you the practical application of all of this information. As a matter of fact, our webinars are every 2 weeks, so that some of them are subject area reviews, so that if you're in the estate planning class, you'll get 2 subject reviews on estate planning where you get your questions answered. But not only that, we have other topics of interest as well, which will show you also how to apply this information when you're working with clients. So really, the BU program is all about the application process of financial planning. It's not about just giving you academic information that you just have to memorize. It's not like that at all.
All right, thank you, Carolyn. And another question comes in, what is the expected time in which I could take the courses? I expect to take a bit longer than most people finishing the program. And I will pass that to Carrie, please.
When you enroll in our full financial planning program, all students are given 21 months of access. The program is truly self-paced, so you can go as quickly as you like within those 20 months, or on the other side, as slowly as you would like within the 21 months. Based on approximately 8 to 10 hours of study per week, you will complete each of these 7 courses in 2 to 3 months. So that gives us a total of anywhere from 14 months to the full 21 months. It really all depends on how much time you're dedicating each week, as well as the experience you bring to the table. We often have students completing in well under the 12 months because of the hours they put in and, again, the experience they're bringing to the table.
Thank you, Carrie. We have another question here. If you enroll and pay in full, is there a limit on course? You mentioned that if you pay by class, you only have access to information for 4 months. Carrie, I will pass that to you, please.
So when you enroll in a single course, your access period is 4 months for each single course. When you enroll in the full program, whether you pay in full or do the 6-month payment plan, you get 21 months of access to all 7 courses.
Thank you. What % of Boston University students take this program and pass the exam? Carolyn, if you could, I'll pass that to you, if you could address.
Yeah, this is a tricky question to answer because what's happened to recently is that the CFP board is not allowing programs to talk about pass rates any longer. The only way we can talk about pass rates now would be to give you what the specific pass rate was for the institution for that last exam cycle. So whereas in the past we were able to tell people in general terms about our pass rates being above the national average, they're telling us that we really can't do that any longer. So the only thing that I can say to you is, since we really can't talk about the pass rates, we have been in business for 35 years, and we're one of the top schools in the country. And the reason we got there is because our students take the exam and do very well. We bring more people into this profession. Actually, we're in the top 4 schools in the country that bring in more CFP professionals into this profession than any other schools. So obviously, if we weren't doing a good job at that, we wouldn't have such high numbers. So I'm sorry I can't really address that question any longer, but just know if you take this program, you'll be in good hands.
Great, thank you. Another question here. Do tax and requirement sections seem to be only applicable to CFPs practicing in the United States? Carolyn, please.
Yes. Yes. Thank goodness the answer is yes. I mean, it's hard enough to keep up with everything that's going on in this country, but no, it's if you're interested in learning about taxation in other countries, then you might even want to look into some courses from programs from other countries. But the programs in the United States will only deal with information for the subject areas within the United States.
Thank you. Here we have a question about part-time. So is it possible to meet the requirements as a part-time employee for those having work experience, it says 2 to 3 years of full-time experience. So as a part-time employee, would they be able to do that? And Carolyn,
I'd be happy to take that one.
Sure.
What the board will do is they'll take a look at the work experience that you have, and if it's part-time work experience, they'll prorate that over a period to see if it translates out to the 2 to 3 year requirement that they're looking for. But if you have any questions about where you stand with your work experience, the board has developed this great tool on their website where you can put in information about your work experience, and it guides you through that whole process. And at the end, if you can complete the process, it will tell you whether you have met the work experience requirement or how much time you still need to put in. So I would really encourage everyone to go to their website and look at this work experience toolkit that they have. It's great to be able to find out in advance how the board would judge your work experience.
Thank you. And Carolyn, could you also describe the Capstone class for the course?
Sure. We have the 6 main subject areas, and then when you get to the Capstone course, obviously that's the last course of study. What you're going to do is you're going to be taking elements from all of those courses and you're going to be putting them together. So you're going to learn about all of this stuff as it relates to working with clients in a financial planning situation. The requirement for this course, this one's completely different than the rest of them. Instead of having like exams and quizzes, all we have for this course is your financial plan that you're going to submit. Now, people say, oh no, how do I create a financial plan? Well, you don't have to, because we've basically done the work for you. What we do is we give you a financial plan and we have you fill in the blanks, so to speak, so that you'll be creating some financial planning documents like balance sheets and cash flow statements and things of that nature, but not all of it, just the most relevant pieces that we want you to focus on, so that we're going to have a piece of the financial plan will relate to every single course that you've taken in the BU program. So there'll be those 6 elements. And then what you'll do is you'll put that all together in a, you will give us what your executive summary is going to be about the financial planning recommendations that you're making for a client. So it's not a daunting task to do this. Believe me, we've heard from many of our students since 2012 about this process. We've had thousands go through it, and they really like this course. It's enjoyable. Not only that, but they get a chance to do a 20-minute to 30-minute presentation as if they're meeting with their clients and talking about the recommendations that they've made for this particular client. So there's a lot of creativity and fun in doing this course, and people really do enjoy this one the most. Let me just also say one other thing, too. Not only is it a requirement, it's a requirement throughout the country that you take the Capstone course, but what it also will do for you is it really helps to tie all this information together and bring it up to date for you, which is really good practice for you before you sit for the board's exam. So it really is like pre-study time and information and material that you can use as part of your your 300 hours of studying for the CFP board's exam. In other words, it just helps to review the information that you've learned throughout the program.
Thank you. That's a great overview. And here we have a question. Is there any extra preparation that you would recommend for a career changer with no prior experience in finance or other CFP-related fields? And Carolyn, I will pass that back to you, please.
You don't need to have any other courses that you need to take, any preliminary courses. There isn't anything that you need to do because we teach you every single thing you need to know. And I have to tell you, somebody gave me that advice way back when I started taking the BU financial planning program. And I thought, oh, that can't be true. And I went out and I took a tax course just so that I would learn a little bit about taxes. Well, it turned out that I didn't need to do that because the BU program will take you by the hand and will show you step by step for each and every subject area what it is that you need to know. And by the time you finish that subject, you will be have just as much knowledge as other financial planning pros and professionals and experts in the field. So we take you from 0 to 60, I like to say, with the accelerator. You'll learn everything you need to know.
Thank you. And are there practice exams available before or during the course?
The CFP board has practice exams. What they have are they have 2 practice questions or practice exams with questions that are similar to what they're going to be testing on. You would need to purchase that, but we certainly strongly encourage people to get the CFP board exams. It's short money when you're trying to learn all this material. I think maybe you can get the 2 exams for like around $100 or something like that. But it will show you how the CFP board will write their questions, how they approach the subjects, what the format is that they're using. You know, it's always practice makes perfect, and if you get exposure to CFP board questions, you'll probably do well on their exam.
Thank you. And next question is, what happens if I can't finish in 21 months? Carrie, I will pass that to you, please.
If students are unable to complete the full program within 21 months of access, you would want to call the enrollment advisor team, and you can purchase an extension to your course. When you purchase an extension to your course, any coursework that you have completed remains completed. However, you are purchasing extra time to complete the unfinished work.
Thank you, Carrie. Our next question is, the program is 100% online. If I were to enroll in this program, can I go to the campus and speak with instructors or participate in study groups? Carrie?
When you enroll in the online financial planning program, you do not have access to campus facilities or to the professors in person. If you do have any content-related questions, you do have the financial planner facilitator that you would email your questions to, and he or she would respond back via email. You also have a couple other avenues of how to reach us if you have questions. Before you enroll, you have the enrollment team who is more than happy to answer any pre-enrollment questions about the course. After you enroll, you also have access to the program manager for any sort of questions. And you do, if you run into any sort of technical questions, you have the entire BU technical team. I like to say that when a student enrolls in the BU course, they are welcomed into the BU family because you're not left alone online. It is a self-paced course. You do need to log on, but you have 4 avenues of help: the facilitator, the program manager, the enrollment team, and tech support, who are all literally just raise your hand. They're just a phone call or an email away.
Wonderful, thank you. Our next question is, are there any classes that can be waived if you have an MBA? And Carrie, I will pass that to you.
To the best of my knowledge, the simple answer is no.
Okay, thank you. Our next question is, once I obtain my CFP, are there continuing education courses that you have to keep up with? Is there any additional costs, and how often do you have to renew the certificate to hold the CFP title? So we have 3 questions there. Carolyn, I'm going to pass that to you if that's okay, if we'll start with the first one.
Oh, sure.
Yep. So are there any continuing education courses that you can keep up with?
Well, in other words, once you get your CFP, you are required to have 30 hours of continuing education every 2 years. 2 of those hours have to be in the CFP Board's ethics requirement. So every 2 years, you'll be taking an ethics course. Now, where do you get these courses from? From everywhere. I have to tell you that it's getting to the point, and believe me, I used to have a CE company, so I know this. You can do it all online. You can do it at your convenience. Many of these things are either free or they're very nominal amounts of money to pay for them. But you can get your CE credits everywhere. You can get them, take courses online. You can go to live conferences. You can go to FPA, local FPA meetings. If you join the FPA, you get their magazine every month where you can get 1 credit per month if you just answer the questions in the back of their magazine. There's so many different ways that you can get your CE credit. So it's never really a burden for people. 30 hours is not a burden within 2 years. And also it's not a financial burden either.
Thank you. And then the second half of that question, how often do you have to renew the certificate to hold the CFP title? Yeah,
that's when you do your ethics and your CE renewal, you are renewing your CFP application, if you will, your certification. So you have to go through that reporting of your CE credits every 2 years, and then you'll pay your fee along with that, and that's good for another 2-year period.
Thank you. And Carolyn, this is another question for you. Basically, we're asking, are CFPs playing an integral role in financial wellness? I see more and more financial institutions marketing and educating financial wellness. I believe many employers are on board.
And that's a really great observation that you've made, because really financial planners have always been about financial wellness. I mean, we do comprehensive financial planning, or at least we're trained to do that, whether that's what our clients want from us or expect from us. Clients come to you for all different reasons, but that's something that financial planners look at a client in a holistic way. And I like that term, financial wellness, because that's really what we're doing. We're looking to see how can we improve their lives such that they're able to meet their financial goals. And so we take a look at their goals, which is the most important part of actually it's even one of our practice standards, that you must set goals with your clients and prioritize them. And then the whole blueprint for financial planning is around helping your clients meet those goals. And so there are many strategies and tax plans and all the rest of it that you can implement. And that's the fun part and creative way of doing financial planning. But at the same time, the whole purpose is to get your clients to be in a better place financially than when they came to see you, and help them meet their goals. And that's why it's so rewarding to be in this career, because it's wonderful to be able to help people and see them really achieve what it is that they set out to achieve when they first came to see you. So we are about that, about wellness. We're not just about growing your investments. That's a part of financial planning, but that's not the full part of financial planning.
Thank you, Carolyn. And our last question for today will be for you, Carolyn. What is the percentage of the course's knowledge that's applicable to international students, given that some part is only applicable to U.S. professionals?
That's a very tough question to answer, and all I could do is really give you some sort of guesstimate, because I've never seen any statistics about this in writing anywhere. But when you think about it, all of this is, all of the courses that we have are really centered around the United States tax code. And so everything that you learn in your subject areas will have something to do with the U.S. tax code. And we wouldn't be able to learn these subjects without knowing what our tax code is all about. So there are a lot of subject areas that, let's say, might apply if you were living in Canada, but when it comes to the actual laws and tax figures, they would not be the same. So, I don't know what percentages would be, but the concepts of investment planning are probably more universal. However, like something when you get into estate planning, that's going to be specific to the United States legal system and tax code.
Great answer, Carolyn. And thank you, Carolyn, and thank you, Carrie, for your wealth of information today. This has been a great informative session. And if all of you have questions about registration or enrollment, please feel free to reach out to our advisor team listed at the email, telephone, and the website on the screen here. Thank you all for joining today, and have a wonderful rest of the day.